Howdy, and thanks for joining us for this free kombucha workshop. My name is Cian Cosell, and I am co-owner of Farmhouse Teas here with my husband, whom I affectionately call the farmer. Just a quick bit about us. We live on an almost 2-acre little homestead in western Oregon at the foothills of the Cascade Mountain Range. We have 4 adopted children from around the world, including Russia, Bulgaria, and the United States. We homestead, we homeschool, and we also home business. As you can see, I am above our garage right now in what we call our tea studio here on the farm. Now, some of you may know what kombucha is, and you may just be curious as to what kombucha is. So if some of this is info you already know, just hang in there. I've got some tips for you who are experienced at brewing kombucha and are looking maybe for more help. But I also have some great tips for those of you who want to get started and don't know much about kombucha. So our personal kombucha story is that, for one, we like tea. As you can see, we're Farmhouse Teas. We have an abundance of different kinds of loose leaf teas here on the farm. But part of that love of tea comes from not being able to or not wanting to consume some of the other drinks out there. So soda pop is a big one. The farmer particularly loves his soda pop. So soda pop, fruit juice, coffee, a lot of those are not fabulous for our bodies. But we still want something cold, we still want something refreshing, and we still love that fizz that comes from soda pop. So kombucha can be all of those things, and it can be even more because kombucha has so many health benefits, and I'm going to get to that in a bit. But my biggest reason for drinking kombucha is I had to cut out sugar from my diet because I have a sugar allergy and my throat will swell. Now, I know some of you are saying, but kombucha is made with sugar. Yes, you are right. And I will get to that more when we talk about the process of making kombucha and what it does. But kombucha does not bother my throat. So I wanted something fizzy like pop, something nice and cold and refreshing. And so I was buying kombucha at the store. For those of you that buy kombucha at the store, you will understand what I mean when I say that is a money-sucking habit, right? $3, $4, $5, $6 a bottle for 15 ounces of kombucha. It tastes fabulous, but that is super expensive. So like most things here on the farm, we decided to take it into our own hands and make our own and save a bunch of money. Now, the other reason that I decided to brew our own kombucha at home was not just the money saving factor, but it was also that we could control the ingredients. So we could control the quality of tea that we use to brew it. We could control the flavor. So maybe there was one at the store that was sort of okay, but not the flavor you're looking for. And for me personally, I loved Brew Doctor Kombucha. They're located here in Oregon, where we are. And their kombucha is a little bit different than most. Most companies will flavor their kombucha with juice after the first ferment. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll get there in a minute. Or they sweeten it again or something like that after they ferment it. And Brew Doctor Kombucha would flavor their kombucha while it was brewing, and it just had this really in-depth flavor, and they used herbs. And if any of you know me or Farmhouse Teas, you know that the main reason that we're into tea is for the health benefits, and that includes the medicinal benefits of herbs. Brew Doctor Kombucha would brew their kombucha using herbs, and a lot of them have medicinal properties. So not only was I getting the benefits of the probiotic kombucha, but I was also getting those herbs, the medicinal herbs inside that. So I set out on a journey to brew our own kombucha here at home, save us money, and be able to control the ingredients. So what is kombucha? A lot of people will go, what? What are you talking about? Kombucha is a fermented tea. Let me get my little friend here to show you. So kombucha is a fermented tea, and you will see this great conversation starter up here at the top. that is called a SCOBY. Now, a SCOBY is an acronym. It means a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. I know that sounds disgusting. It looks disgusting, and you're like, why would I drink that thing with a sea creature in it, right? So while this large one sits out in our kitchen, our dining room, and it makes a fabulous conversation starter for when we have company over, they want to know what it is. So the SCOBY at the top forms during the fermentation process, and actually when vinegar is made, you get a similar thing on the top. So this is not a unique or unusual product of the process. So the basics of making kombucha is that you make a sweet tea. So sweet tea would just be a strong black tea. You can use a green tea as long as it's a black or a green tea. Any tea made from the Camellia sinensis plant. Some work better than others, but we're not going to dive into that quite yet. So a sweet tea, and then you add some of this already fermented kombucha tea to your cool off sweet tea, and you add your little SCOBY friend. Okay, you can name him if you want. I haven't named mine yet. And then your kombucha tea and your SCOBY, their food is the sugar that you sweetened your tea with. Okay, so they eat the sugar, and when they eat the sugar, they create carbonation. They make the bubbles in the tea that is going to give us that fizzy effect like soda pop. And with that, you might recall when I said that I can drink kombucha, but I can't eat sugar, and that's because the fermentation process eats up the sugar, and so all that sugar does not end up in your kombucha. There's a little tiny bit depending on how long you ferment the tea, but it's not enough to bother me. So for those of you concerned about consuming a lot of sugar, kombucha is going to eat most of the sugar, so it's not really a concern about adding it to the diet. And in most cases, people will be replacing something more sugary with something like kombucha that's less sugary. Okay, so now that we know a little bit about how kombucha works and what it is, let's talk about the health benefits of kombucha and why we might want to add that to our diet. Many of you may know that probiotics and gut health are at the height of most health discussions these days. It is highly important that we have good bacteria in our intestines so that we have good digestion, and our gut health is connected to our mental health and our brain function as well. So if we have good gut health, we usually have good brain health, and so we want to build on any probiotics we can get in there. Now you can buy the capsules of probiotics, and we do use some of those because there is a wide variety of different types of probiotics, and we need different sorts in our gut. So kombucha has a probiotic and a yeast called S. boulardii in it. So that's a specific kind of yeast and probiotic that is in kombucha. Now there are different kinds, like you might be familiar with the probiotic that is in yogurt, for instance. Or there's different probiotics in raw fermented sauerkraut. So those are all different. They're all good to consume. One isn't necessarily better than the other, and a good variety is really helpful to digestive health. So the important thing to remember with kombucha is that the probiotics in there are transient. So when they go in and they leave the body, they aren't the kind that are going to hang out inside forever. Now there's reasons that that is important. If you consistently drink kombucha, starting at 3 days, you will have a consistent flow of that probiotic in there, and you keep that up and you will continually have that probiotic. Now there are studies showing that kombucha has an ability to inhibit bacterial growth in the intestinal tract. And it will also bind to the bacteria in there, the bad bacteria. It will help that bacteria exit your digestive system so that it can't harm you. So another study from 2014 shows that the probiotics in kombucha are helpful with intestinal health, like I said, but specifically in cases of irritable bowel syndrome and possibly even other digestive issues like Crohn's. Now it's going to depend on the person. This is not a cure-all, but it can definitely be beneficial to add to your diet. Now the biggest health issue that kombucha is known for helping is with detoxifying the liver and helping to clean the liver out. A 2011 study shows that the cause of that is because of all the antioxidants that's in the kombucha. And then again, like I mentioned before, depending on what tea you use to brew it with and which medicinal properties the herbs have in your flavorings or in your tea can also help boost the antioxidant levels. There are also additional studies that show that kombucha can help manage type 2 diabetes. Now, if you're making your kombucha with a green tea instead of a black tea like we're going to do today, that has even different health benefits. Studies have shown that green tea can help aid in weight loss, and so when we add the green tea to our kombucha, we're combining the benefits of green tea along with the benefits of the kombucha and those probiotics that are in there. There are stories after stories of soda pop drinkers switching from their soda over to kombucha, and they have shown dramatic increases in health and especially in weight loss because of the decrease in the consumption of sugar. And then the best way to kick a habit is to introduce a new healthier habit in its place. And I cannot think of a better one for soda pop drinkers than to switch to a fizzy cold kombucha full of wonderful probiotics and the wonderful properties of green and black teas and herbs that have powerful medicinal properties. Just a quick recap before we head out today. I shared with you our kombucha story and how I stopped buying that really good store-bought kombucha to save a ton of money, along with being able to control the ingredients that were in my kombucha. I also shared with you the basics of how to brew kombucha, what the SCOBY is and what it does, about the sugar and the tea and the fermented tea and how they all work together to create a powerful probiotic that is super helpful to intestinal health. And then I shared with you just the tip of the iceberg on all the health benefits that kombucha carries with it. I hope that you found this video interesting. And coming up on day 2 tomorrow, I am going to show you how to brew your first fermentation of basic kombucha. And we will be using our green mossy rock tea. I'm going to show you really quick how we flavor our tea here down on the farm. And then in the third video, we're going to talk about 3 of the most common problems that kombucha brewers have when they're brewing. And those are highly important. You're going to want to catch those tips. So stay tuned for the next email. If for some reason you don't get it tomorrow and it doesn't show up and you can't figure out where it is in your inbox, email me at ceanne@farmhouseteas.com, CEANNE @farmhouseteas.com, and I will make sure that you can get access to the next video. Also, because I covered a whole lot of information really fast here, I have included a download below this video. You're welcome to download the notes from this video so that you have them on hand. And I will catch you on day number 2, and we're going to get brewing some kombucha. I'll see you then. Bye.